Hello, I'm one of 4 of the 20 master gardeners in Becker County that we have present here today, and we're going to talk about some questions that we commonly get when we have the Plant and Pest Clinic during the summer. I'm Sally Hoskin, President.
Mary Wickman.
Marietta Keenan.
And Alice Wenzel.
And we'll start with the question about Creeping Charlie.
Yes.
Pretty common problem.
We get that question quite a bit at our clinic, and sometimes people bring in samples, and that's really helpful when we have to determine what or identify a weed or whatever problem we're having. With Creeping Charlie, it's a low-growing perennial weed that you find in the lawns or gardens. It can have stems up to 15 to 30 inches, and it sets roots every place that the leaf touches that the leaf comes out of the stem. If it's in a small area in your garden or lawn, you can just dig it up with the garden trowel when the ground is soft, trying to make sure to get all the roots that it has sent out. If it's in a larger area, you may want to use chemicals to control this weed. A herbicide containing 2,4-D and MCPP as active ingredients, and just make sure that you follow the label, the directions that come with the herbicide, and you can spray that during mid-August to mid-September when the temperatures have cooled and it's not going to rain for 48 hours.
Another question that we get, and with some frequency, are questions about the Colorado Blue Spruce. We'll get a call and the person says, my branches on the lower part of my Colorado Blue Spruce seem to be dying. What do I do about it? A Colorado Blue Spruce is not a native plant here, and I personally recommend native plants just because there's likely to be lower maintenance, there's likely to be higher tolerance for the particular bugs and bird activity that is found here. The Colorado Blue Spruce is susceptible to a fungus, and fungi are harder to deal with than bacteria. But the fungus happens to kill the lower branches. So the recommendation that I generally have is, how about planting something else, like a white
Sally,
spruce?
I have to say, excuse me for interrupting, but I have blue spruce in my yard. I planted them rather accidentally. I ordered blue spruce and also got some Black Hill spruce. Now the Black Hill spruce are much softer and really more attractive, and that, I believe, is a native plant.
Yes, it is.
It's a kind of white spruce.
The Black Hill spruce is a variety of white spruce, yes.
Okay.
And I think part of the problem is when people plant a tree, they get carried away and plant lots of the same thing. So there isn't the diversity. Right. So when the fungus happens, it's more likely to go from tree to tree to tree.
Yes.
And, you know, the same problems.
And incidentally, while she mentions diversity, I can bring up a little trivia point that is a whole nother conversation again, and that is that if we had the kind of diversity that the earth had before we came along and marred it, we wouldn't have, for example, Lyme disease.
Yes.
And the reason is that there'd be so much diversity that another living creature would interrupt the bacteria that is the Lyme disease. So I think diversity is very important, and to the extent that you can diversify your plantings, that's just very nice.
Also, in talking about trees and planting, if you're planting new trees, I know that one thing most people do is plant them at the depth that they are in the nursery and the pots that they get. It's important when you're planting a tree to look to see where the stem starts to flare out. A tree shouldn't look like a telephone pole sticking up out of the ground. If you look at trees that are grown naturally, they have a nice flare at the bottom. So you might have to actually remove some of the dirt that the nursery has put in the pot. If you plant them too deeply, the roots tend to coil around and actually strangle the tree, and they don't spread out as nicely and produce those beautiful feeder roots in the top part of the soil.
Therefore, when you take the plant out of the pot, you want to cut with the scissors along the side of the dirt, because then that forces the roots to go out and not strangle the plant.
Especially if it's a root-bound plant. I do that to a lot of my plants where the roots are all kind of in the shape of an actual pot.
And the closeness of the planting might be an appropriate thing to bring up as well.
True.
Yeah, when the tree is small, we tend to want to put them too close together.
Yes.
Think about what size the tree is going to be 10 years from now and 15 years from now, and go from that. So that might be a better.
I think so too.
Yep. Have we run out of time again?
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.